Welcome to the show, everyone. I absolutely love what I do. I get to talk about everybody else but me, which is kind of fun to do, and I get to help them talk about what they do on this show. We're live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to share the show later on. My first guest is Scott Fischer, and he's the owner of Options for Senior Living. And I first of all, thank you for being here again. You've been on several times, and I'm learning so much about you, but I do want to tell a little bit of what I've learned. You are, anybody who is a senior, if you know a senior, he's your advocate. You really truly are, and the love and passion that you have for not only them, but for what you do to help them in so many different aspects. It's not just what you're going to find out what he does in a minute, but not just what you do, but also all the other facets that really go along with it, right? So welcome to the show. Thank you again for all that you do. And anyone, whether you know a senior or are a senior, please listen up, because this is pretty important information.
Thank you for having me back. I've enjoyed all of our conversations and look forward to many more. Being an adult child of a senior, my mom's in her early 80s, and before we came on the air, we were talking about, in some cases, families have a loved one and here today and gone tomorrow. And I think for most people, they would love to just say, hey, it's my day and it's over, right? Mm-hmm. All life comes to an end. However, more and more of us are living beyond the end, or what used to be the end. Like, my grandparents were both gone in their 70s, both sets of grandparents. Mm-hmm. Well, my parents made it into their 80s, and there's no end in sight for mom, right? And so while she's changing and declining, that process really impacts my life. Is her oldest son. I have 3 brothers that live out of town, and so for the most part, mom's life becomes very intertwined with ours, which has lots of love and good, and it has a lot of stress and extra worry and extra requirements from myself and my wife, which make it really challenging. So I get to come alongside families who are experiencing the very same thing I'm doing. Mm-hmm. After 20 plus years of being someone who was just a professional in this space. Now I share the journey with them as an adult kid. So,
well, let's hear exactly what it is that you do, and then you have your own personal story, much deeper than what we just spoke about just there. But I mean, he walks in your shoes, right? And that is what the thing is that I love about you the most, is that you're living it, right? And so, and it's not easy. It is not easy, and a lot of people think they can do these things on their own. And you know what? It's not good because you're emotionally involved.
No, there's some real statistics that if you want to do some research, you can find them. But if you're loving someone and you're the primary caregiver to someone who has Alzheimer's disease, you stand 2/3 of a chance greater risk at having a health event, even an exacerbation of like a hypertension, or your own health issues are going to get worse because the stress of you caring for someone else with that disease. 28% of people that are caring for someone have a greater incidence of their own health decline and all these other anxiety, depression, obesity, all these other risk factors that go into our health. So getting some help from someone that knows what they're doing is really critical and more important than ever.
So here's the point. A lot of people want to stay in their homes, and they do. And if they can, great. But a lot of people cannot stay in their homes. No matter what they want, they got to do it. And that's something that you can help with.
We come alongside, we get asked to step into family situations, typically from a friend of the family or a professional ally, like an attorney, a financial advisor, maybe a spiritual advisor or a pastor. Somebody is objective and says, hey, you need some help here. Even happens when you're in the hospital and the discharge planner says, you can't go home, this is a real problem. And so we come alongside and do a head-to-toe assessment of the entire family and the situation and the care needs of the individual who needs likely to be placed into a long-term care facility. We typically use assisted living, although we work with memory cares and independent living and all different levels of care, but they need some help but they still want and desire some level of social life and interaction with others. And so, based on their needs, their priorities around the location, their care costs, what they can afford long-term, what their resources, that's an important part of it. We develop a game plan for them and then walk them through that personally. If you could imagine a realtor taking you out on tours of homes, well, I walk through senior living facilities all day, every day with people, pointing things out, helping them understand and see how their mom or dad would fit into that particular situation.
What I do want you to talk about is how you're such an aficionado in all of this, and it's not just for the fact that you've walked in their shoes, it's way more.
It is way more. In the 80s, I was trying to get my way through college, and I swear I was walking down the mall at ASU, and I walked by the College of Nursing, and I literally felt nudged, like that was, and I'd bounced around and changed majors a couple of times. I started in Flagstaff, ended up in Tempe, and I just felt like I was supposed to go to the College of Nursing, and I'm like, why would I do that? And then I go into the College of Nursing in the 80s, you know, it's like, oh, it sounds kind of riotous. It's Arizona State University. It's
Not a lot of men,
not a lot.
usually.
No, there was 3 guys and 65 girls that graduated with me in my class. But I was not drawn into a typical medical kind of nursing. I was drawn into mental health, and I spent over 20 years working in psychiatric facilities, treatment centers for kids, adults with addictions, things like that. Oddly, my path took me through a situation where I was working with long-term care kids who were violent, aggressive, and in a altercation with one of those kids, I hurt my hand. I had multiple surgeries on my wrist, got a permanent disability, and I needed a new career at 40 years old. And I started working with seniors who were experiencing psychiatric symptoms with their Alzheimer's disease. And so I was seeing people for the first time with a whole different set of issues, but they were anxious, depressed, agitated, sometimes paranoid, not sleeping well. And they were all diagnosed with some form of dementia. It was in that experience back in 2000, 2001, 2002 that I saw the inside of senior living for the first time, because I was seeing them in their homes, and it opened up a whole world for me after that injury.
And you've done a lot more. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a break,
Okay.
and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk further. Anybody who is going to have to put their parent into a home really need to talk to Scott. And there's a real good reason for it, because, you know, he really knows the layout of this whole entire city, and he knows what's good, what's not, and it takes that pressure off of you. And it's something that it's actually kind of hard to do. You cannot just do it on your own. You really need a professional. His number is 602-845-1320. He works valley-wide, and it's a free service to you. Hang tight, we're going to be back in just a minute. Okay, we're going to keep on going right now and talk live on Facebook for the moment, and then we'll come back and finish that little story, okay? So, obviously for you, your favorite part of what you do has to be when you find that person the right place that they're happy about being there. You know, because I can't imagine myself if I had to just pick up and go, and I know that's a very scary thing, you know, and especially when, if you're out of it, you don't know as much, but when you're not, and a lot of people are not, and they still need to go into it, but I'm gonna give you that example with my mother, my ex-mother-in-law, who, she is perfectly fine.
And then just ask me about the professional. Why was there a need for the association? Why did that?
That's important to talk about.
Yeah, tell me about how you got involved in all that and what was important, because that's going to illustrate the problems in the industry that we want people to be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we're going to go into this. I know we want to get to it, but it's our plans on how you talk. Okay, so this is the unlicensed, you know. Okay. I gotcha.
The walking around and getting people through the journey, the best part for me still is when people just drop their shoulders, like they've told their story, and I go, I got it. I know the drill. Lady called me last week. 40 minutes later, I have a game plan already done. I haven't even seen her yet. just talked to her for 40 minutes. I outlined the game plan. She needed 5 of my friends. Her boss was gonna choke her because her work was so impacted by how much she was taking, it was taking her away from the attention to her job. And it was her boss, who's an old friend of mine, said, will you help? Will you help her, please? And Beth finally called me on a Friday morning at 7:30. By 8:15, she's got a whole game plan, and by the next week, it's like all settled.
Isn't that cool?
So you just go, okay,
Yeah.
you know, because I know the direction. I know what they need when they tell me these are the things I'm struggling with.
Right.
I have an answer for all
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I remember that, and the hardest part is obviously when they are aware that they're the ones that are fighting it,
Mhm.
right? And no, right? And then it's until they get inside and they're there for a little bit and they make a little bit of a friend or something like that
Yep,
happens, and then things get better. But at first, especially they're gonna, don't you tell me what to do.
They don't want to hear it, and a lot of times the parents don't want to hear us as kids telling them what to do.
Exactly,
That
and that's why
dynamic-
it's so much better to have someone like you
That
outside.
dynamic is so
Exactly.
hard for them to embrace.
So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Scott Fischer, the owner of Options for Senior Living, and he's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. I want to say this: you're also nominated for the Ethics Award in 2022. And what the other thing is, folks, is I really want to repeat this again: is that he's valley-wide, and this is a free service to you. So, in my mind, I think, why not? Why wouldn't everybody just say? And what you said at the break was wonderful, is that how when somebody is really dealing with this on their own and they're getting so stressed out, because it's very stressful, you came in, you sit down and you talk, and then all of a sudden they just sit there and they drop their shoulders and go, oh my God, thank you.
That's still the best.
That's the best.
That's the best for me, yeah, absolutely.
So I want to talk to you and ask you how that you got involved with the association that you also started.
Right. Well, this idea that we're a free service was a part of that. And so the industry itself started to kind of gel and get some momentum in the late 90s, early 2000s. Now, I was a nurse transitioning into this business in the early 2000s, so I launched my business in 2003. Down at the Area Agency on Aging, which is our local, many cities have them, they're just a mile from where we're sitting right now. There was a group down there that was hearing complaints from around the city that these group of body brokers and bounty hunters, and that's what they were calling us, were corrupt and unethical, and I got invited by a friend to go to one of their advocacy meetings down here at the area agency. And in the meeting, one of the ombudsmen, which is a program here in the city that oversees everyone in licensed facilities. And so while yes, we're free, people were very upset later that they found out I got the first month's rent or I got paid for doing what I was doing because we came off as being free. They were also upset about things because I'm paid by the receiving assisted living facility. There's an opportunity for people to be unethical and prompt a move from one home to another home to a third home and pick up multiple fees from the same family, and it's called churning. There's also opportunities for guys like me to go over to the healthcare system and improperly gift or offer payment to people at the hospitals. And so, no, these are real things. And so these concerned individuals from various parts of our city industries and government were expressing the outrage and the frustration with this unregulated, unlicensed group of people. And there was an article in the Phoenix magazine about the body brokers, and that's who they were talking about, us. So at that meeting, one of the ombudsmen wagged her finger at us, and I think I mentioned it in one of our other shows about somebody needs to do something about you guys, and that's exactly what we did. And so for every one of those issues with our industry organization or the execution, we wrote best practices and a code of ethics for us. I happened to be the president for the first 8 years of that group, and then based on that success, we actually took that to a national level. There's chapters around the country. I'm passionate about it. I don't care that anybody can get in and do this business. I'm not a protector of the space that way, but I am concerned about the health and well-being of our seniors. I am concerned about the health and well-being of the adult kids. Everybody's vulnerable in these situations, and I'm bullish about the best practices, about following through and being a professional with people, and upholding those standards. And
I'm just gonna tell you, it's not easy to get nominated at all for any award, especially the Ethics Award through the Better Business Bureau. So the fact that you were awarded that, and that was in 2022, you've also started the association, so you're all about that. And if you're gonna talk to somebody, please talk to Scott. His phone number is 602-845-1320. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and Valleywide. And when we say free service, you know, his service that he does for you, there's a lot that you, they're the legwork, it's the legwork, right? That's the free service. But then when they get placed, whoever it is placed into the home, that's where you get paid by them, right?
Well, yeah, and you said to be the aficionado. Well, here's where that comes from. We spend a lot of time when I don't have a family to see, visiting and revisiting the senior living facilities. You can go online and use one of those programs, and they've never seen the inside of the building they're sending you a referral to. They haven't been there. We and my team regularly go out and visually inspect, stay connected, meet the staff, meet the new director, meet the new nurse, so that when I'm sitting there talking to a family, I'm thinking, I've got the place for you, because I've been there again and again and again.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk about today, that's what we were going to talk about in the first place, which is this industry is not licensed, right?
Right.
And we want to talk about that because you got to be pretty careful who you talk to and who you work with. That's really important.
It really is. And so through the National Placement Referral Alliance, that's our national organization, the NPRA, our website lists those national members, because I belong now to a national association. That's the first place. If you're at the hospital and the discharge planner says to you, mom or dad can't go home, they've had multiple falls, there's been an injury or whatever, and they can't go home, and they hand you the name of somebody, the first place I would look is on the NPRA website. Are they there? Well, why is that important? Well, in Arizona, since we're not licensed, it doesn't require me to be fingerprinted, doesn't require me to be insured, it doesn't require anything of me. The state doesn't. And so the state doesn't have any registry of all of us business owners that are out there. There's no way of knowing. And so you got to do your own research to find out if this is a reputable person I'm talking to. They don't even have a license. We're asked to find homes, not just based on how pretty it is or where it is located, but there's often complicating care needs involved, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, all these things that we're making recommendations on or guidance for. And how do you know anybody's qualified? And that's a big part of it. We also have a national certification program now through the NPRA. I was part of the group that wrote that certification. I was one of the first agents in the nation to acquire that certification, and I'm super proud of that. It's the benchmark for our industry now. It's called the CPRS. There's other certifications, the Certified Dementia Practitioner, Certified Senior Advisor. There's various certifications, but anybody that's invested in those, that's somebody I'd be attracted to, as opposed to somebody who isn't. I would want to know how long they're in business for. I'd want to know if they associated with the Better Business Bureau. What's their Yelp or their Google My Business page say about them? And I'm proud to say, we've got great reviews all over the place that you can point people to.
Let me just tell you what you should do. Put the number in your phone under, it's the best thing that you can do is to be proactive also, is being ready, because what would you say the percentage is of people who are in the hospital and they're told your mom can't go home and they only have a short amount of time? It's not like they got a few weeks. Even that's a short amount of time when someone's been living in their home for how many ever years, right? That now has to be put on the market and all of that. Tell me what's the percentage of you getting those calls?
Well,
oh my God, I gotta do something.
They're very high, and usually the person that's in the hospital, that's not their first go-round, so it's been multiple times in the hospital. We'd love to talk to people before the crisis. We'd love to talk to you about the advantages and the upsides, instead of feeling like this is being done to you on the other end. When families can take the steps forward proactively, then they're part of their own solution, as opposed to that horrible feeling that they're taking me from my home, or that it just feels so hard.
And we also talked about this too, and let me give you out the numbers so that you can put it in your phones. That number is 602-845-1320. You can also check them out on, go to Yelp. You said you got tons and tons of.
Our Google My Business page has a lot of our reviews on it. Our Facebook page has a lot of reviews on it.
And you can go to his website too, which is options with an S for seniorliving.com. I do want to do this too, is to say that, I forgot what I was going to say now. Go ahead and talk a little bit. It'll come back. I have this all the time. I'm a senior too, you know. Okay, go ahead.
Well, the whole part about knowing who you're dealing with, because we're not licensed, I cannot express enough concern, because there are no barriers to entry. There's a lot of money at stake in this game. I'm also involved in now coaching others from around the country how to start a business like this, but in pointing them all back to a set of best practices and a professional code of conduct that doesn't exist anywhere else. And I probably made more noise about this issue than any one person in the country, but I feel that strongly about, that's how I wanted to use my voice, is that we owe our families, we owe our parents,
Your loved ones, because
your loved ones, this level of integrity, we just owe it to them.
you owe it to them, but you also owe it to yourself, right? And I mean, the reason why is because when you do this, you want to feel confident, you want to feel good. There's also places that things can happen. You want to make sure that you're being put into a place that you feel comfortable about, right?
Absolutely.
That you know that they're being taken care of the way you would want them to be. That's huge right there.
When a family comes back to me and says, hey, you helped me with my mom 2 years ago, I just sent my best friend now needs help, right? That's the best compliment.
Mm-hmm.
You helped me with my mother 9 years ago and she's still doing great. And I've had that experience. I've had family come back to me 4 and 5 times. That feels great. That's the affirmation.
It's the success stories of what you do, and also being that you are so passionate about what you do and for the seniors. Again, you can't talk to anyone more than him that is a seniors advocate. Some of the people in your industry are just unbelievable. You yourself, I mean, you're the king of it. You know, I'm telling, I hope I said that right.
Well,
which is true. And so when you're listening to this, maybe it's you, maybe you know somebody that might need some help. Please don't wait. Get these things done. Be proactive about it. The phone number to call is 602-845-1320. It's options for seniorliving.com.